So welcome to the second Focus Cup race of today. Of course, earlier on that we saw some excellent racing throughout the field, and nice and tight. Yeah, we're looking forward to another good race. I'm going to be calling this race. I'm Piers Pryor. You heard from me earlier on, but I'm looking forward to another excellent race in this Focus Cup field. We're just waiting for one car to be retrieved from the straight down the exhibition centre, next to the exhibition centre from the previous race, and then we'll get this grid underway. A reminder for those who haven't watched the Focus Cup races before, we have another one of our, I believe it's 15-minute races. So this is the reverse grid race. So it's slightly different to some championships in the fact that it's not the whole reverse grid. We have a split reverse grid. So from race one, the results are flipped as follows. So the top six are flipped. So if you finish first, you'll be sixth. If you finish sixth, you'll be first, and then doing that all the way through. Then 7th to 12th, 13th to 18th, and then 19th to 24th, or as many cars as we have, of course. We're looking forward to, of course, some close racing, and this Focus Cup Championship does provide close racing, with it being a centrally organised championship. All of the cars are completely identical. Ford Focus TDCi 2-litre cars. Uniquely diesel powered. I say unique, it's not completely unique, but not many races are unique. Not many cars are diesel powered these days. Let's have a look through the grid. So on this race, we have Watts on pole at the number 23, next to Jones. Morgan Jones is in second place. Then we have on the second row, we have Lewis Clark in third, and Andrew Godfrey, the number 1, in fourth place, last year's champion. Then in fifth place, Ian Mitchell in the 81, alongside Sean Reynolds in the 777. 7th, Andrew Vise, and then 8th, Mark McCann, in the number 64. Then we head to 9th position on row 5, Greg Saunders, alongside Spencer Fortag in that very distinctive dark and then fluorescent yellow livery. We then have row 6, 11, Jonathan Ogden, and 12, Simon Waugh. 13, Abby Walton, and 14, Sarah Hall. 15th, row 8, Ian Graham. 16th, Luke Scrubby. 17th, Jonathan Baker. And then rounding out the 18-strong grid is Simon Walton. Of course, Simon, part of the championship organising team. As of course we have one warm-up lap, we can see the cars all in their distinctive liveries from different sponsors and championship supporters. We have the Focus Cup car there. Outwards, I think it's one of the spares. I can't see who's taken that vehicle, but it's of course all of the cars. We've got liveries from the supporting drivers. We've got AST. We've got the Powerflex car that obviously took the win in race number 1. But on pole we have Simon Watson, the number 23. Morgan Jones looked very racy in the first race, barely ever away from any other cars, and Morgan has some experience in the series as well, but he's going to be looking to race forward from second place and potentially take his first win in the championship. This is the second race of the day, and of course with the reverse sections, as we say, is 1st to 6th, 7th to 12th. It's an opportunity for all the drivers to have some racing, regardless of the pace. So even if the pace is spreading out, which it doesn't seem to be in this championship, very, very close with all the cars being identical, then you will be having to fight back up to where you were before. Points for the winner would be 30 for first position, 26 for second, 23 points for third, 21 points for fourth. And then 1 point down from 20th, from 5th place down to 24th place. We have 18 cars on the grid today, so the driver that finishes the race in 18th will be getting 7 points. As we can see, the blue 10 car, the number 10, conveniently, that is Jonathan Baker, who's starting on the back row of the grid. He'll be hoping to make up some positions. He had a strong race in race number 1. Coming through Coppice, again with the background, you can see the rolling hills in the I think there's some controversy whether we're in Leicestershire or Derbyshire or whatever, but no, Donington Park, a great circuit for these Ford Focus cars. As you can see, the cars weaving side to side to get as much temperature in the tyres and brakes as possible ahead of the start of the race. We know that the diesel engines in these cars have a lot of torque, I think about 160 horsepower, but plenty of torque to get them away from the grid, so the start is potentially easier than some of the other cars. You'll do well to stall them, but you can't rev these engines too high. I believe a sort of a 4,500-5,000 RPM is where you'll be changing up to the next gear. Mark and I were chatting earlier on, and in most petrol-powered cars, you'll be changing up or thinking about just about getting going at that revs. But a unique challenge to these Focus cars, but also what draws people to them, because they obviously have a lot of grunt, and it's great to see so many cars so close. So we see the cars at the back lining up. We're waiting for all of those to line up in the grid boxes, heading off for the second race of the day. 15 minutes of racing ahead of us. See even McCann there in the white car. We've got some novices out today, McCann and some others, as we it looks like we're about to get the green flag from the marshal at the back of the field, ready to go racing for the second time today in the Focus Cup. Green flag at the back, 5-second board comes out. Drivers will be getting ready. First gear, clutch in, tensions rise, as do the revs. Waiting for the lights to come on. Lights are on. And away we go. And here we are. It looks like a good start from pole position from Simon Watts, but Morgan Jones is right there on the outside. Can he get in front before the first corner? Looks like there's going to be an overlap. The outside is an overtaking opportunity into turn one. Morgan Jones squeezing down on Watts to try and contain the lead. As we can see, Scrubby having a poor start, potentially having a stall there at the back of the field. But looking at the front, it looks like Morgan Jones has managed to make it through to the lead. As we can see, I can't see the number 22 who's gone off. Simon Waugh has gone off on the inside, clearly losing the tyre, losing the rear end of the car going down the first corner. No, Morgan Jones has not been able to take the lead. It is still Simon Watts in first position, but closely followed behind is the number 1 of Andrew Godfrey, last year's champion. He's trying to make his way up onto the top step of the podium. As we look, there's battles further down the field. Saunders in the number 34 was well in the fight in that previous race, and now Morgan Jones is under pressure as Watts has managed to get away. Morgan Jones on the inside of Andrew Godfrey, looking around the outside of McLean's, which is off camera, so that'll be a difficult manoeuvre to pull off there. Another car going wide in the background, number 4, Spencer Fortag. Has an action-packed first lap, but so far everyone mostly staying on the road. There was only that one small incident at the Simon Waugh going off at the inside of Redgate Corner. Still more fighting for the lower end of the top 5, as we see now Godfrey's dropped off the back of Morgan Jones, must have made a small error and is now falling into the clutches of, I think that's the number 77 of Lewis Clark, who's lost a couple of places. Clark looking at the inside but not quite managing to be able to make that move stick. Reynolds in the green car, the number 777, now looking to make a position. We see Fortag on the back of our race 1 winner earlier on. I think that was Ian Mitchell. As we can see, the gap at the front has opened out ever so slightly now. Watts with a good start, understeering through turn number 1. It looks like those tyres are not quite up to temperature yet. He was not happy with the balance through that first corner. But Fortag now looking at the inside of Mitchell on the exit of Redgate. Morgan Jones still trying to keep on the back. We can see the number 777. Sean Reynolds keeping the pressure on the 17 of Lewis Clark, trying to make up another position into the, I think that's a podium, for a podium position. Yes, that is, no, for 4th place. See further down the field, you can see the Power Max racing car there coming through the Old Hairpin, and the Old Hairpin's such a good corner, isn't it? You can see the cars compress as they go through the apex. Side by side, Reynolds and Mitchell going into McLean's corner. The outside is not the favoured line there. You see Fortag trying to take advantage of that, but no, everyone's slotting back in. That car, the EPF sponsored car, Fortag getting under pressure. 34 of Saunders in the AST sponsored livery car there, the white, orange and black car, but not quite being able to make that move stick at Coppice. So quite a short apex at Coppice, so a dive up the inside is quite tricky to pull off unless you have a complete overlap. Top 3 slightly spreading out now. As you see, Mitchell now putting the pressure on Clark in the 17 SWS forward liveried car. So there's the battles toing and froing as we go through the field. Looks like it's got a good run out of the final corner, looking to the outside in the back of screen, but we still have the fight at the front as well. That's sort of holding station, but Mitchell looking for a way through on the number 17, going outside very late on the brakes. Can he get that done all the way around the outside? That would be a very bold move. Clark being very, very polite. They're leaving some space on the outside of Redgate. That will mean they go side by side down Hollywood now. Completely side by side. This takes a lot of trust and trust in, in the other driver not to close the door, but no, Clark relinquishing the place to number 81 Mitchell. Now the 777 of Reynolds taking a lot of curve to the Old Hairpin, clattering the bollard, but continuing on as that position is now is settled between Mitchell and the number 17 of Lewis Clark. We see in the background Saunders still under pressure, or maybe making a move through, getting that move done. Clark trying to come back at Mitchell now through McLean's and on the exit of Coppice. He'll be trying to get a good exit over the rise here. As you go over the rise, the car gets very, very light, and you can see there Mitchell struggling with some understeer where the front is just sliding wide, and that's allowing Clark to cut back underneath to try and have a look down. Nope, no, can't go on the inside, looking outside now It's very difficult to go all the way around the outside of the Roberts chicane, so he'll be trying to get a nice cut back onto the main straight. I say that, braking very late into the Roberts chicane and getting the move done completely before even the apex is done. So Mitchell going up one and down one. I think Reynolds cut the second part of the chicane there, and the splitter is damaged on the front of that car, potentially from going over the curbs, and is now going to come under pressure from the number 4, which is Spencer Fortag. Settling in now. Looks like Mitchell just regrouping, trying to have another go, as we see in the background. Number 64 there going under pressure. Number 64 was Mark McCann coming under pressure from Baker in the number 10. Baker getting through, and black plumes of smoke from the diesel engines as they accelerate out of Redgate. But this battle here for 5th place is not done. No, 4th and 5th place is not done. Clark still in 4th place, just about holding off Mitchell, who Clark taking a lot of curve. Once again, they've seen that bollard is missing and they're taking full advantage of it, but they'll have to be careful they don't get caught by the marshals and the stewards, because too many track limit infringements will result in a time penalty, and that will of course hurt their race position. Godfrey now right on the back of Morgan Jones for the 2nd place. Watts is steering clear, still got a little bit of understeer. The balance does not look so comfortable in the car, but it doesn't seem to be hampering his lap times. He was fastest in the first sector, nearly 4/10 faster than anyone else. As we see Godfrey now, it looks like he's alongside Morgan Jones. Morgan Jones just pulling well out of the way to the left-hand side. I think he realises Godfrey's got the pace and potentially thinking ahead, thinking if Godfrey can get through now, he might make his way onto the back of Watts the lead, and then I can join that fight later on. Morgan Jones right under the rear tailgate of Godfrey, who's gone through. Of course, Godfrey running the number 1 as his previous champion. As we see in Fortag, side by side, 2 wheels on the grass with the 777 of Sean Reynolds there. Reynolds now applying the pressure to the number 81 of Mitchell. Not quite getting a move done this time. Mitchell goes wide, Reynolds follows him, and Fortag just managing to keep within track limits there. Track limits could come into play towards the end of the race. A lot of curb being taken by the number 17 in the grey Ford liveried car there of Lewis Clark. Clark holding this position now, trying to feed Mitchell to the guys behind, clipping the bollard in the apex once again, but it's a great run through the old hairpin from Ian Mitchell. Once again, he's got that corner completely hooked up, and he's going to put him right in the position to be able to challenge into McLean's. Not this time. We see now Reynolds right on the back, all 3 of them closing up once again. Fortag just slightly dropping off the back of this fight. Clark feeling the need to go defensive into Coppice. That could hurt his exit speed, as Reynolds is now looking up to get out the inside of Mitchell, who's looking up to get out the inside of Clark. Not quite managing it. Is nose to tail, bumper to bumper action here as Reynolds goes left, Mitchell goes right, and is following right in the wheel tracks of Clark. Clark still defending, Mitchell on the right hand side. A shot, you can see, going defensive once again. A lot of curbing taken by Clark. He's now managing to get a good exit. It's still side by side on the exit of the chicane. Fortag completely on the grass now, but can he keep it all the way to the to Redgate corner on the inside?
Yeah, Spencer Fortag, former Caterham racer, rallycrossing his way through Robert chicane and not managing to make inroads there, so he still sits there rather frustratingly as far as he's concerned in 7th position, trying to close in on Sean Reynolds as they head through Redgate corner. They're on lap number 6 at the moment. Our race leader, which is the car in the hands of Simon Watts, is nearly 2.3 seconds up the road now and is looking to try and pull away from Andy Godfrey, but Andy Godfrey last time through was a couple of tenths quicker, so the gap did come down by just a shade.
Come down by just a shade. It's over halfway now through the race. 6 minutes, just under 7 minutes remaining. Still plenty of fighting to happen, as we can see Reynolds once again looking up the inside as Clark. Actually, we missed that. Mitchell. No, we didn't miss that. Mitchell's now managed to find a way through on Clark, and then Reynolds is trying to take advantage of that too. As he going around the outside of Coppice will be a bold move. I think he's probably going to look for the cutback, brake a little early, slice underneath the rear bumper. What do I know? Why not just go around the outside, eh? Why not just go all around the outside of Coppice, the double apex long right-hander? But can he keep it? Can he keep it all the way around the outside, all the way down the exhibition straight to the Roberts chicane? It looks like they're still side by side.
Yeah, it's still side by side, and if the door is open, Spencer Fortag will look to try and squeeze his way through. So Lewis Clark has it, and still side by side through the second part of the Roberts chicane. They are not really leaning on each other to the same degree as I thought they would do, but Sean Reynolds is still side by side again. This is half a lap now that they've been absolutely side by side, and they're nearly 3 wide behind as Spencer Fortag goes wheel to wheel with Greg Saunders, and weaving around in the background is the car of Jonathan Ogden, I think. Get up towards Redgate corner, guess what?
Still still side by side. Oh, and Reynolds has gone way wide, getting out on the marbles there, and that's going to lose him a few positions. So just pushing ever so slightly too hard into Redgate, meaning that he's lost 1, 2, 3 positions, potentially 4 if he counted if he was actually ahead of Clark, because I don't know if you could ever actually count if he was ahead or not.
I'm not sure whether Greg Saunders had a slight problem there as well, because the number 34 car dropped towards the back of that train as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he was right there actually. I was about to say he was getting involved in the mix, but must have made a mistake either on the exit of Roberts or missing a gear or something, and he's just dropped slightly off the back of this group. But Reynolds will be looking to regroup after that wide moment, going around the outside of Ogden now. He's tried outside of Coppice, one outside of McLean's as well, using all of the road in a little bit more, but he's managed to get that move completely done. Outside seems to be order of the day.
Well, I know we have some drivers in NASCAR that like to run the high line up against the wall, but Sean Reynolds seems to like just driving around the outside of people for half of a lap. Yeah, exactly.
He got Eminem on in the radio in the dash of the car, but he's right on the back of Spencer Fortag now. He's got a good exit out of there going on the outside, and it's up the inside. That's a late lunge from Reynolds. He wants to get those positions he lost back. Whether that was track limits or not, I'm not entirely sure.
We'll wait and see. So yeah, we'll call the cars over the start-finish line. They're still in the same order as they were at the moment. Sean Reynolds desperately trying to cling on to it. Greg Saunders at the tail end of the field in the white and orange and black number 34 car seems to have recovered after his problems, and he's now back onto the coattails of the black and the Dayglow yellow machine in the hands of the former Caterham racer Spencer Fortag. That's the fight for the final 2 places inside the top 10.
Yeah, I tell you what, who's got a great seat in the house is McCann. Mark McCann has got an excellent view of this whole battle unfolding, and he's just on the coattails trying to get involved, but here we have the number 23 Watts is somewhat cleared off at the front, still setting some blistering lap times. Not the fastest lap of the race that last race, doesn't actually have the fastest lap of the race either, but just consistently banging in those times, and what with Godfrey and Jones still doing battle for second place and for the lower end of the podium positions is helping Watts no end.
Yeah, absolutely. So Simon Watts working beautifully well to try and see if he can claim a victory here. He is another driver that didn't claim a win in the Focus Championship last year. We saw a best, I think, throughout the course of the season for Simon Watts of a couple of 5th places up at Alton Park. So he'll be as pleased to punch if he can secure victory in the second of the 2 races here.
Yeah, tell you what, Morgan Jones made it very easy for Godfrey to go through earlier on in the race, but he's right on the back. It looks like he's got the pace over it, and he was very polite earlier on. I wonder if he'll be so polite towards the end of this race. He's tucked under the rear bumper, just jinking out slightly in the slipstream, using all of the road and a bit of the pit entry there to get through turn 1 as fast as possible. I reckon he's going to have another go on Godfrey towards the end of this race.
Simon Watts has had a 2nd position in the Focus Cup in the past. That was in the very first round at Alton Park in 2020, but that is his best result that we've had. He could be on for his first Focus Cup win here.
That would be excellent to see Simon Watts take his first position from pole, first position from pole position as well, with the reverse grid doing its job of jumbling up the order and giving everyone an opportunity to have a good result. But this podium is not done yet. It looks like that Morgan Jones is hungry for that 2nd place. I think it's a bit far back now with only 2.5 minutes to go to get the win, unless something untoward happens, touch wood. I don't want to create a commentator's curse there, but Morgan Jones still right on the back of Godfrey. Godfrey throwing it into Coppice over the rise.
Yeah, and we've only got 2 minutes left of this race now, so Piers will need to disappear because he's got other things to do for the remainder of the race. Thanks for anchoring the start of it whilst I was busy preparing for something else as well. So with a couple of laps to go, Simon Watts heads in towards the Roberts chicane with still Andy Godfrey and then Morgan Jones squabbling over what is 2nd and 3rd position. The safety devices backed machine in 3rd place, trying to close in on the former champion, remember, Andy Godfrey, who's there in 2nd place. But out front is Simon Watts with a couple of laps to go, trying to close in on his first victory in the Focus Cup. We've just had new fastest lap of the race come in for the car in 5th position, and that's the number 17 car. That's the silver car with the blue Ford flashes to the tail end of it, that being Lewis Clark. 1 minute 26.282 from Lewis Clark, so he's pushing hard in the latter stages. So down through the Craner curves, Andy Godfrey looks as though he's got a bit more daylight now between himself and the car of Morgan Jones. And as they start to build the speeds again and head up towards Coppice Corner, they'll be able to see Simon Watts ahead of them on the road, but he's just too far up the road. He's been too consistent in this race to do a great deal about it. The fantastic format of Focus Cup with, each block of 6 getting reversed, so 1 to 6 get reversed, 7 to 12 get reversed, it really does create always brilliant racing for the second race of the weekend. And that's not to say that the first race wasn't anything other than absolutely superb. So they are about to turn their way through Coppice Corner, penultimate lap that they will be on. They'll also be back out at Brands Hatch for the next 2 races, the tail end of this month as well. 29th of April they'll be down at Kent before they then head to Snetterton in June, Alton Park in July, and back to Brands Hatch in the middle part of September. But over the start-finish line, onto the last lap of the race goes Simon Watts. He's come close to a race win before in the Focus Cup. That was back in the opening round of the 2020 championship season. He did not score a podium, I don't think, in 2021, if memory serves me correctly. And last year, he scored a couple of top 6 finishes in what was a part season for him. He didn't do the Cadwell Park round, but I think we saw him out at every other round, Simon Watts. But that elusive win hasn't come his way as yet, as far as I'm aware, in the Focus Cup. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the first win we've had for Simon in the Focus Cup. And, well, he had to work hard for it in the early stages, but the reverse grid worked in his favour. He's still got to work hard for it now, because there's a bit of traffic just coming up the road that he'll need to deal with, and he'll want to try and carve his way through and past that traffic as effectively as possible. I think he might just meet it on the exit of Coppice, which would be perfect for him if that is the case. And as he heads up towards Coppice, now he meets the traffic, so he should be able to blast his way past it as they head down the straight, and it shouldn't compromise his run too much by the look of things. So he's drawing himself alongside the traffic. It sees him coming and blends out of the throttle. And I think that's Sarah Hall who lets him go through, and then the next back marker lets him go through as well. So for Simon Watts, he's now got a little bit of traffic between himself and anybody else, but he's neat and tidy through the Robert chicane anyway, and it is going to be Simon Watts that's going to head over the start-finish line and claim his first victory, as far as I'm aware, in the Focus Cup. After 3 or 4 years of trying, he is there. Andy Godfrey finishes in 2nd place. Morgan Jones looks as pleased as punch with 3rd position. He's shaking his fist out of the window in delight rather than anger. So that's been a solid couple of races really from Morgan Jones. 5th in the first race, 3rd in this one. So first podium in the Focus Cup and his first weekend of racing in it, I think it is. Through was Ian Mitchell in 4th place. 5th will go the way of Lewis Clark, and 6th will be the hard-fought 6th position of Sean Reynolds. Still they come over the start-finish line, all busy beavering away. I think there's one more car to come over the start-finish line, and I think that's probably Luke Scrubby, but everybody else I think is already through and has taken the checkered flag in what was another fantastic race from the Focus Cup Championship. So all of these evenly matched Ford Zetec 2-litre TDCi diesel-engined Ford Focus cars, which are the 2007 to 2010 body shape. And, well, year after year after year, they provide some good value racing for the drivers, with plenty of track time as well, including the test day, and good fun racing, close, clean, hard-fought racing out on track. Let's confirm the results. The win goes the way of Simon Watts, I think his first in the championship, with Andy Godfrey finishing in 2nd place, and Morgan Jones was there in 3rd. Ian Mitchell was 4th, with Lewis Clark in 5th place, and Sean Reynolds had to get his elbows out a little bit, didn't he, in 6th position. 7th place goes the way of the number 11 car of Jonathan Ogden. 8th place was going to be Jonathan Baker. 9th place was Spencer Fortag, and completing the top 10, it is the car of McCann that finishes there, Mark McCann, in 10th place. In 11th place, and that's where we see the car of Simon Waugh. Greg Saunders was there in 12th place. 13th place was Ian Graham. 14th place was Andrew Weiss, and then it was James Scrubby who finished in 15th place. The final couple of finishers, car number 202, Walton, finishes there in 16th position, and 17th place goes away of Sarah Hall. And that's the way that they finished for our final Focus Cup Championship race of the weekend. So they will tally up the championship points, and then we'll do it all again in 4 weeks' time when the championship heads to Brands Hatch in Kent on the 29th of April. So from everybody here at Donington Park and the Focus Cup Championship, thanks for joining us. We'll see you at Brands Hatch. Goodbye.